Peter Eliades with you. This is Stock Market Cycles update for the week ending Friday, November 6th, being recorded Sunday afternoon, evening for some of you, November 8th. It's actually 3:07 p.m. Pacific time as we're beginning this recording. This recording is going to be for both those who watch via YouTube and for our regular subscribers. We have not done a YouTube update for over a month now, and we kind of promised we'd do 3 or 4 of those a month, so we fell behind there, and we wanted to catch up with this one. This is actually going to be perhaps a good review for our regular subscribers that get to see our opinions and our projections every market day. So we'll look at a few things going back in retrospect and obviously looking into the future also. The chart we're looking at is a daily chart of the S&P. It's a closing price chart. The light blue line is the close, and this is the last close as of Friday, November 6th. We closed at 3509.44. Now, we did our last YouTube update right here. This dashed vertical line was the week ending September 25th, Friday, September 25. And at that time, we told you there was a 92% chance we would get a projection down to around the 2,800 level. That was based on the fact that we had a pretty good, in fact, over 90%. I forget what time zone, what time period we use to determine those statistics, but whatever time period it was, said there's a 92% chance of getting down to, let us show you the offset that we used to make that. Okay, here we are on the 25th. See how close we were to this offset? This offset is a 189 to 194. It's the equivalent of a 39 to 40 week offset, and it gives nominal 78 to 80 week projections. And this is how close we were to coming below there. So we had a projection that took us just down to this level. That was 92%. Now, as we clarified on that update, there was not a 92% chance that we'd get down to 2,800. It was simply a 92% chance that we generated the projection or got down far enough to generate this projection. And as you see, we didn't do it there, and we came really close again just over the last week or so, getting below the 189 to 194, and we didn't do it there. And in the meantime, those projections that were calling for a move down to the area that would generate those projections have been invalidated. So we wanted to do a quick review, show you where we are in relation to where we were on September 25th, and show you how things have resolved since then. Okay, so here's where we stand. This projection, which as you can see was still very much in effect right here at the last YouTube update, remains in effect. Significantly higher projection, 4103.94 to 4314.64. That's a 96.8 to 110 point whatever it is offset, the equivalent of a 20-week offset, giving nominal 40-week projections. And that has not seriously been threatened. As you can see, we started to come close to it here. So, as we always say, once a projection is generated and confirmed, as it was right here, right around the end of July, only 2 things can happen projection-wise. Either the projection is met or it's invalidated. In order to be met, it has to get up into the green zone here, the projection range. In order to be invalidated, it has to move below these offset lines. So the being met part is static. Those projections are very much in effect. The being invalidated part is a dynamic one because these lines, as you can see, move up and down as we go forward. But this projection remains very much in effect. Let's start coming down from that 96.8 to 110.6 and go to the next shorter offsets from there. So this was a perfect projection right here. Look at this. Came right up into the projection window. That projection was confirmed way back in May of this year, and indeed, it took it a while, but up we went right into the projection zone. On September 2nd, we met these projections by moving comfortably into the projection zone. Came down and almost gave a downside projection here, came up again and did give a downside projection here. Let's zoom in there, fairly recent activity, and take a look. So there was a downside projection given here. It's just been invalidated. In fact, let's take a look at the web chart here, because this is really close. As you can see, it's just playing with that line. Okay, because these are closes, I'm going to change this to a closing price. Okay, so as you can see, on Thursday of this week, we got above the continuum, and when we did that, we invalidated this downside projection, okay? Now, on Friday, with kind of a sideways to slightly down move, we're not comfortably above that continuum yet. So we have to watch the next couple of days here. If we start getting up here, there's not much to be gained here anyway, because we've already met the lower side of this upside projection in green. Notice how we moved above the continuum right here. And that's only like from here is one space, two spaces, then one space, two spaces. Here's the lower end of the projection. That's already been met. So there's nothing to be gained by that upside projection right here. We've met that already. Let's look at the next shorter offsets. Now we're starting to come down from the 96.8 and the 189. We'll go to the 24.2 to 27.6. Okay, as you can see, we have upside projections remaining there. Okay, and this is where the upside projections were generated, right here, between October 8th and October 14th. Now, they got into dangerous territory down here. Again, this is worthwhile to look at the web chart. Why were they? Obviously, they were not invalidated here. We never got completely below the continuum, but let's look at that. It might be interesting. Again, let's look at the closes. Okay, so this is where the projection was given, right, with this crossing here. And as you can see, we never got below the continuum. And this recent weakness we saw at the end of October. And now we've rallied up again, and this projection remains in effect. Okay, and that projection calls for 36.71.11 to 38.31.52. Either be met or invalidated. Notice that to invalidate it now, the prices are somewhat rising underneath it, the red line rising up to above where current price is, the blue line, the secondary offset, still about a week away from crossing below that, even if it were to go sideways, okay? So that's that offset. Let's go down to the 12.113.8. Upside projection, very much in effect. 36.04.65, 36.97.66. Okay, and finally, the 7 to 8, 35.71.43, 36.39.30. Again, these are closing price projections. Okay? So, let's take a quick look at the NDX, because I know a lot of you like to follow that. Okay, here's the NDX. We left the offset the same. The offset is a 7 to 8 trading day offset, giving nominal 20-day projections. And look at this. We came very close to meeting that on Friday. Just inches, micrometers away from meeting that upside projection. Let's take a look at the 12.1 to 13.8, see if that's any higher. It is, but not significantly higher. 12.1 to 13.8 calls for a close of 12.332.98 to 12.695.64. So there are further upside projections outstanding, but not that significantly higher. And remember, we should point out on the NDX does not have that long-term upside projection that both the Dow and the S&P have. Which offset is that? Well, we showed it to you before, the 96.8 to 110.6. Let's see what that calls for on the NDX. So notice on the NDX that when we crossed above the 96.8 offset way back in April of this year, it didn't call for a much higher projection. In fact, that projection was quite easily met. So we don't have the same type of projections that we have for the Dow and the S&P. And the same thing is true for the 189 to 194. Look at this. We're talking about a crossing way back down here. So there's nothing significantly left up here. This is not a projection. This is just something that we put in ourselves, a rectangular box, okay? So that's not a projection. So things get interesting here because although we do have significantly higher projections, let's show you the Dow projection. Okay, here's the Dow projection for the 96.8 offset. That's the equivalent of a 20-week offset, nominal 40-week projections. Look at this. We're talking about on the Dow up to 34,000 and change to 35,590. That's significantly higher than we are now. We're talking about almost 6,000 points to the upside on a minimum basis, not quite on for the lower side of that projection. And again, remember, either met or invalidated. So we came pretty close here on the Dow at the end of October to the point where it might have gotten invalidated, but a little more comfortably above it now. These are things to be watching closely over the next week or two. Are these hugely higher upside projections going to remain in effect, or will they be challenged over the next week or two? That's what we're going to be watching. As it ends up, or as it turns out right now, we do have short-term higher projections, and we have intermediate to longer-term higher projections on the Dow and the S&P. And that's where we stand going into this weekend, going into Monday morning's action. As you can see in the crawler above here, there's a nice rally going on. It's now 3:21 Pacific time and 6:21 Eastern time, and the S&P's up 31 points. So let's do one more thing. Let's look at the Globex chart. Okay, this is interesting. This is the S&P futures on a Globex chart. So they're trading right now. As you can see, there was a little gap opening at the opening of Globex, which is just within the last hour. So this is the low that's being used. This is the equivalent. I believe this one's 12.1 to 13.8. Let's take a look. It's 386. And indeed, my trusty little table shows me 386 on the Globex chart as the equivalent of a 7 to 8 trading day offset. And that gives you nominal 5-week projections. And look at this. Wow. All the way up here. 36.96 to as high as 37.76. I like this, all zeros, even number up here. Look at that. So this is the equivalent of a 12.1 to 13.8. Let's go down one from there. Remember, this calls for 36.97. Let's say 3,700. The one underneath here is the equivalent. This is the equivalent of a 7 to 8 day offset on the Globex chart. And remember, we had a projection up to 36.96 for the 12.1. This one says 36.08. So we have two projections now, a nominal 5-week projection, that's the 12.1 to 13.8, and a nominal 20-day projection, the equivalent of the 7 to 8 day offsets, that are calling for between 36 and 3,700. And the 3,700 one, the longer one, is on a minimal basis. So, and this is where we stand at 35.32. So we do have significantly higher upside projections outstanding. How could they be invalidated? That's always an important question to ask. As you can see, we'd have to get quite a decline here in order to invalidate this projection up to the 36.08. That's where we stand. These are Globex. These are prices as we're speaking, currently running for the S&P. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. For our regular subscribers, we'll talk to you on Monday. For our YouTube watchers, thanks a lot for watching again. And hopefully we'll have another update on for you within the next week or so. Thanks for watching.